The stage was set in St. Louis. Samuel Sevian with the white pieces. Gukesh, the reigning world champion, in black. The game began with fireworks right from the opening. The Sicilian defense. Sevian went for the Rasa limo with bishop to b5, while Gukesh countered with fianchetto setup, preparing for a sharp battle. Both sides castled early, but when Sevian pushed d4 and later d5, the center exploded. After a tense exchange on the queen side, Sevian gave up his light squared bishop on c6, and the game entered murky waters. The middle game was a duel of plans. Sevian's bishop anchored on d6, stabbing deep into enemy territory. Gukesh, cool as ever, regrouped and found counterplay with knight to e8 and rook to d8. Queens circled the board, trading blows. Sevian pushes pawns forward. Gukesh struck back with precision. The queens came off after a tactical sequence. Queen takes c4, knight takes d5, queen to c8 check, queen to g4. Every move tested nerves and calculation. The players reached a tense endgame. Bishops, knights, and pawns clashed in a battlefield stripped of queens but full of danger. Sevian advanced on the king side. Gukesh pressed on the queen side, but neither cracked. After a series of exchanges, Sevian's king marching boldly to the center, Gukesh's bishop collecting pawns. The balance could no longer be broken. On move 44, with bishops and kings staring each other down, the players agreed to peace. Samuel Sevian holds the world champion to a hard-fought draw. The Sinquefield Cup still wide open. Two prodigies, two rivals, Norbek Abduzadorov against Pragnananda, both rated above 2770, both chasing glory in the Sinquefield Cup. The game opened with tension right away. Abduzadorov chose the English, while Pragnananda replied flexibly, striking the center with pawn to e6 and bishop to b4. Soon, the board flared with tactics as both players advanced their pawns and knights. After a sharp exchange on c6, the structure shifted. Black doubled pawns, but in return seized activity. Both kings castled, and then the real battle began. Prag pressed forward with pawn to e5, challenging the heart of White's position. Abduzadorov maneuvered his knight to the rim, then to c3, while Prag's pieces took aim at the center. Heavy artillery lined up on open files. Rooks on b8 and d8. Queen to c6, a battlefield ready to ignite. When queens came off on move 26, the endgame arrived early. Rooks, bishops, and minor pieces filled the board with threats. Abduzadorov grabbed pawns on the queen side. Prag countered with rook activity, and a dangerous knight leaped to h5. The climax came as both kings stepped into the fray. Abduzadorov's king marched forward to f4, while Prag's dark square bishop cut deep into position. Pawns were slashed, pieces traded, and the balance teetered with every move. But neither player blinked. A dance of bishops followed. bd4, b2, back to d1, back to e2, each probing, neither giving way. On move 46, with repetition inevitable, the players shook hands. Abduzadorov and Pragnananda, locked in combat, but inseparable. Another hard-fought draw in St. Louis. Two of the world's fiercest fighters face off. Fabiano Caruana against Alireza Firouzja. The game began with a Nimzo-Indian twist. Firouzja developed his bishop to b4, but Caruana calmly countered, fianchettoing his bishop and consolidating the center. The early exchanges left White with a bishop pair, while Black sought counterplay with knight to e4 and pawn breaks on the queen side. Caruana was ready. He advanced d5, striking first in the center. Firouzja countered with sharp play, f5 and rook lifts, trying to unbalance the position. But Caruana's precision held firm. As the tension mounted, the queens danced across the board. White's queen to b5, Black's queen to c7, then to d8. The pieces swirled. The clocks ticked down, and Firouzja was burning precious time. Then came the breakthrough. Caruana's d-pawn surged forward. First to d6, then to d7, a battering rammed deep inside Black's camp. Firouzja scrambled, placing rooks and bishops in defense, but the pawn could not be stopped. Caruana's rook crashed through on e5. His pieces sprang to life, dominating the board. Firouzja's king staggered into the open, his pieces tied in knots, his clock nearly gone. On move 46, with Caruana's forces poised to deliver the final blow, Firouzja extended his hand. Resignation. Fabiano Caruana scores a brilliant victory. Two veterans, two artists of the game. Maxime Vachier-Lagrave against Levon Aronian. A clash of styles, a duel of ideas. The French defense appeared on the board, and instantly fireworks followed. Vachier-Lagrave pushed forward e5 and f4, seizing space. Aronian countered boldly, snatching the pawn on b2 with his queen. A poisoned pawn, dangerous and sharp. The queens danced across the board. qa3, qe7, qd8, as white's rook swung to b3 and b7, hunting for activity. Aronian responded with precision, keeping balance in the chaos. Then came the storm. Vachier-Lagrave sacrificed pawns, open lines, and launched his bishop to g7, threatening to rip open black's king. Aronian held steady, placing his rooks on the 7th and defending with resourceful moves. As the middle game raged, the players traded heavy blows. Rooks, queens, bishops falling in sequence. On move 44, queens left the board, and the battle transformed into a tense endgame. Kings marched forward. Pawns advanced. Rooks swung from side to side in a delicate dance. Vachier-Lagrave pushes b-pawn. Aronian countered with his h-pawn. The rooks checked. The bishops maneuvered. The tension never eased. But in the end, the fortress held. Neither player could break through. After 73 grueling moves, the kings faced each other across an empty board, and the game was drawn. Maxime Vachier-Lagrave and Levon Aronian, warriors of the board, leave St. Louis with half a point each and a masterpiece of fighting spirit. Jan-Krzysztof, Duda, and Wesley so drew their round 3 game at the 2025 Sinquefield Cup in just 32 moves. The players entered the Ragozin Defense, where Duda tested Wesley with an early queen move to b3. After some sharp central play, queens were exchanged by move 11, and the game headed for a simplified structure. So equalized comfortably with accurate development, and both players traded into a rook and minor piece middle game. Duda tried to probe on the queen side with his rooks, but so defended calmly, using nd7 and nf6 to shuffle and hold the balance. With neither side able to make progress, the game fizzled into repetition on move 32, a quiet but correct draw, showing how hard it is to break down Wesley's so solid preparation.